Alright, this next video focuses on factoring, and by now you should have watched all the other factoring videos and you should be good with this whole rectangle diamond method. But there's a flaw with this method, and it's not really a huge flaw, it's just something you got to be aware of. Some factor problems have more than one right answer, and for two people to solve a problem and get two different answers is okay. But you want to be able to compare your solutions. Like if you and your friend are both solving this, you want to be able to compare your answers. So to make sure everybody gets the same answer, we have something called pulling out the greatest common factor. And what that means is when you get a factor problem and it's got your three pieces, if there's a number that you can divide all of these by, you should do it. What I mean is 2, 6, and 20, they're both even, they're all even numbers. And I know that I can technically divide each of them by 2. 2 fits evenly into 2. 2 fits evenly into 6, and 2 fits into 20. If I do that, if I decide to, I call it pulling out a 2. It's not really pulling it out, but you're dividing everything by 2. That means I'll write the 2 here and make a big parenthesis. 2 divided by 2 is 1x squared. I don't really have to write the 1. And 6 divided by 2 is 3x minus 20 divided by 2 is 10. I end up getting this, x squared plus 3x minus 10. And I know with the distributive property, if I multiply the 2 back in, 2 times 1 is 2x squared, 2 times 3 is 6x, 2 times 10 is 20. It'll turn back into what I started with. But the reason I'm doing all this is my rectangle diamond, I can actually ignore the 2 and just focus on this inside piece. And that way, everybody gets the same answer if you pull out the greatest common factor. So we can put the 1x squared here, the minus 10 here. We can take the 3x in the center and put that in the bottom of our diamond. And when you multiply the corners, you get negative 10x squared. So think of two things that multiply to 10, but add the 3. And it's a negative 10, so not a lot of things multiply to 10. 1 times 10 and 2 times 5. And since I want a 3 and a negative, I'm thinking 5 and negative 2 would be perfect. 5 minus 2 is 3. 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. Sweet. So 5x goes in one of these boxes, and negative 2x goes in the other box, in any order. Go around the outside edges. X times x is x squared. Copy the x's down and across. X times negative 2 is negative 2x. Copy the negative 2 over. Negative 2 times 5 is negative 10. And copy the 5 to the top and check it. 5 times x is 5x. Perfect. So we get this. These are our two parentheses. And so when we write our answer, we're going to write equals 2 parentheses with an x minus 2 and an x plus 5. And everybody should get the same answer. Don't forget what we did at the start. Remember we divided by 2. I said we pulled a 2 out. We didn't really pull it out, but that's what I keep saying it that way. We divided 2 out so that 2, we can't forget about it. It's still in front. So my answer, my factored piece, is now this. 2 times x minus 2 times x plus 5. And we got it factored. So try one. Here's another one where you have to pull a number out. Factor. And we're going to do 3x squared plus 21x plus 36. At this point, when you read the word factor, you should be in your head right away thinking of the rectangle diamond method. It should pop into your head as your strategy right away. And so you look at this and you say, okay, before I make my rectangle diamond, maybe I can pull a number out. Maybe I can divide. Can 3, 21, and 36 all divide by something? And yeah, I can think of something. 3. Divide each of them by 3 evenly. You want to pick the biggest number that they can all divide by. And I think this will work. If you divide by 3, then you're going to have 3 divided by 3 is 1, x squared, plus 21 divided by 3 is 7x, plus 36 divided by 3 is 12. So this is what you get. You divide the 3 out in front. There's the 3 in front. And you have x squared plus 7x plus 12. That's what you're going to use in the rectangle diamond process. So we're getting fast at these. X squared goes here, 12 goes here, 7x in the middle here goes in the bottom of my diamond. Multiply these corners, you get 12 times x squared is 12x squared. And what two things can you multiply to get 12 and add to 7? So make your little list. Don't try and do it in your head and get stuck. 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4. Best option here is 3 times 4. 3 plus 4 is 7. So 3x and 4x go in my corners. And remember, if you want to be different and do yours backwards than from me, that's okay. Go around the outside edge. X times x is x squared. X times 3 is 3x. And copy the 3 over. 3 times 4 is 12. And you can copy the 4 up and the x over, and you can check it, and it works. So we can tell that these are our answers, x plus 3 and x plus 4. When you write your answer, you write equals x plus 3, and x plus 4 goes in our parentheses. That's what we did all the work for. And then don't forget, at the very start of this problem, remember we divided by 3. So I'm going to put that 3 that we divided out of the problem out in front, and that's our answer. So anytime you factor, you should look at the problem and ask yourself, is there anything I can divide by? A lot of times there's not. A lot of times you don't have to do this extra step. You go right to the rectangle diamond and start doing your work. But sometimes there's some special cases where you have to be able to divide a number out. So you really got to look carefully at the problem.